Welcome back to Speakeasy with Paul F. Tompkins. I am still Paul F. Tompkins, and my guest today you will of course recognize from her role as Kara Thrace, Starbuck on Battlestar Galactica. But guess what? You will also recognize her from her current role as Deputy Sheriff Vic Moretti on A&E's Longmire. Please say hello to Katee Sackhoff. Katee, hello.
Hi.
Cheers. Thank you so much for being here.
You said that. It almost sounds like a porn. It was fantastic.
Which part? The whole thing?
No, just the Longmire.
Longmire.
Yeah.
What would the porno version of Longmire be called? Do you think it would just be a lateral move, title-wise?
I think you could go to like Long Schlong. Could do it.
Well, I like when they have fun with the porno. Like,
Me too.
we're doing skits, and also people having sex with each other.
It's fine.
You started acting when you were just a kid.
Yeah.
Coming from Oregon.
Yeah.
And you were going to be a swimmer originally.
I was. That was the plan, because I always kind of wanted to be an actor, but when you grow up in small towns, you never really hear of anybody making it. You know, you hear of, people not making it and coming home, but you don't hear of like the success stories. And so I packed up the bags, from St. Helens, Oregon, me and Holly Madison. We're both from the same town. We both made it. So great.
Congratulations
great.
to both of you.
Thanks. So being a swimmer was kind of my way of having that competitive nature thing that I had in myself, and then also feeling this enormous amount of success that was completely on my own shoulders, and I loved that responsibility. And then I got hurt and didn't know what to do and didn't want to go to college because I never liked the school setting. For me, it seemed like a complete waste of time. Stay in school, kids. So then when I got hurt, I was like, I'll be an actor, because that seems like something that's easy to do.
What? Was it something that you'd ever entertained doing before?
I mean, I danced around the house and was like a clown all growing up. I made my brother do interpretive dances to Whitney Houston when he was like 9 with me. I mean, it was really quite, I should have been a director actually, but no, I mean, I never really thought about it until my mom found this ad in a paper to be Kirsten Dunst's body double in a Lifetime movie. And I went in and they were like, you're too tall, but can you act? And I was like, sure, I can. Yeah.
That's
awesome.
quite a promotion.
I was like, of course I can. This is gonna be so easy. Went home, memorized it, went back, got the part, got Taft-Hartley into the union. The director introduced me to my agent, who's now my manager. And I guess the rest is kind of, I was in the right place at the right time.
You can say the rest is history, because it is.
It is, kind of. And hopefully a little bit of future, because if it's all history.
I've heard this story before from other people that started out, they thought they were going to do one thing.
Right.
And then circumstances beyond their control made them go down a different path. You loved swimming. How devastating was that when you had an injury that made you realize, oh man, this is not going to be the life that I thought it was going to be?
When you're 15, to have like a career that you've worked towards from the time you were like 9 disappear in like an instant is pretty heartbreaking. But the thing that it did do was for some reason, it seems to be a natural transition for athletes to become actors. I think there's this drive and ambition and kind of this never give up strength that you have as an athlete that I attacked this business with at the same. So I don't know. I've met a lot of athletes that make really good actors for some weird reason. I don't know.
I wonder if there's also a connection that it plays out in front of the public too. It's a thing that you do while people are watching you.
Right. When you're an athlete, no matter how nervous you are, it rests on your own shoulders. There's really, if you lose, it's kind of your own fault. Right. So I don't really get nervous. I can talk myself out of it pretty easily.
Were you nervous that first time when it was 15 and Pregnant was the name
It
of
was.
the thing,
Everyone thought it was a documentary for like 5 years. It was quite amazing. Like, you're right, yes, I have a 9-year-old at home. I'm 12. So that was the first thing, and I guess I was nervous, but not really. I was so young, I didn't know really how to be nervous. I just kind of, had I known then what I know now about this business, I should have been terrified. And probably would have been. But I was so naive and so gullible and like, I was a child and just like came here and was like, this should be easy. Right. Let's be actors.
And so was that a good experience?
Yeah.
Was it fun?
It was really fun. And then moved to California like a year later and got a job within like a couple months. So it was really great. Like I said, I was in the right place at the right time and then worked hard. So
your first jobs when you moved out here were film, right?
Primarily television, like TV. Battlestar was, I think, like my 5th series. So, but all the series that I were on lasted about 8 episodes and then got canceled. So I was like the queen of canceled television for a long time. And then Battlestar happened, and I played like very stereotypical blonde, stupid roles.
Really?
I know, it's so hard to see
but
that.
But it is, because that doesn't seem like my introduction to you was certainly Battlestar Galactica, and that seems impossible to believe that someone would cast you that way. Not that you couldn't do it, but that would be a role that somebody would put you in.
It's funny too, because I remember auditioning for Battlestar, and I must have auditioned 5 to 7 times, and every time I went in, they were like, she's too young and she's way too girly. This is never gonna work out. Like, Katie doesn't have a tough bone in her body. And so I went home and chopped my hair off and came back and went in, and you know, I don't know what they were thinking, seriously. Like, I don't know in what universe they thought that I was gonna be good at this role, because I walked in with like stilettos on. It was like, so I'm supposed to be a fighter pilot, like in this chair? Okay, all right, so tough, think tough, got it. Starbuck was a man, what? Yeah, it was all very weird, and thank God for David Icke's ex-wife. Sorry, he's not remarried. Wife at the time, because she was responsible for giving me the role, because she walked by the television, he had it on fast forward in the bedroom, and she walked by and was like, what are you talking about? That's Starbuck right there, and it was my audition. And fast forward, thanks, that's how they do it, by the way.
Maybe you were just going too slow at the audition.
Maybe, I was talking really slow. You could see it's a problem for me. I talk really slow.
When you were a kid, you were a fan of Star Trek.
Yes.
So was this kind of a dream come true to work on? I mean, it's not quite Star Trek. It's a different franchise altogether. Had you ever seen the original show?
The original Battlestar, no.
Right.
Star Trek, yes, loved it. My dad raised me on Star Trek. Anything science fiction and anything action, my dad raised me on. I think one of the first movies I saw was Predator.
Right.
And then Jaws. I mean, really, it was like this bonding thing where my dad would show me things getting blown up and dismembered, and then be like, don't tell your mom.
Was he thrilled when you were in one of the Halloween, was it Halloween Resurrection?
It was. My head got cut off.
Was that a proud moment for your dad? Having schooled you in these movies?
It was a lesson learned, because there's a scene in the movie where I was supposed to flash my bra, and I refused to do it because I said it's gratuitous and I didn't like it and didn't think it was necessary. So they took a body double after the fact and shot some girl's boobs, and I was like, had I known, mine are better. I would have just done it, for God's sakes. Like, Jesus.
Now everyone's thinking that's
Everyone thinks those are my boobs, and then they saw Riddick and realized they weren't. So it's totally fine.
Riddick, how do you psych yourself up to do something like that?
Be nude and shoot guns?
Yes. To be fair, you're a fairly adventurous person.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. You like new experiences.
I do.
You like to do physical stuff, motorcycles, this, that, the other thing. Mm-hmm. You like the action.
Yeah, I do. I would like to live on the edge.
So something like this. Do you feel like, oh, I relish this opportunity. This is going to be a wild, crazy thing that I'm about to do? Or is it more, because actresses do have to be careful, because it's sort of like if you give it away once, they'll all ask you to give it away.
Well, I didn't give it away. I only gave away the left side.
Right. That's tasteful.
It's a completely different thing than like the headlights, you know?
Was there a discussion about that?
There was a discsion about it. I then
I'm sure it looked very different on the page.
I'm sure it did too. You know, and then I called my dad and asked permission to show my boob. And he was like, you know, tell me when to close my eyes. I was at the premiere with my brother, my dear, dear brother. Lord help me. And he's like, tell me when the boob is, please just tell me. And he's sitting next to me. I'm like, okay. And he's like what's the sign? Like, can you say something? I'm like, we're in a freaking premiere. I'm not gonna say something. He's like, okay, well, like, elbow me. I'm like, okay, I'll elbow you when the boob is coming out. He's like, okay. So I'm getting ready, and I'm like, oh, it's coming, and I elbow him. And I lean back down on the armrest, and I slipped off of it. So he opened his eyes right as my boob was there, and he screamed like a little girl. He opens his eyes and goes, ah! And he's like, what did you do that for? It was so mean. I'm like, you are a 34-year-old man. It is a boob. Grow up. Grow up. Yeah.
Was his life forever changed
Scarred.
after that moment?
Scarred.
Has your dad seen the film?
He did. He was sitting right next to my brother, and I think he elbowed him on the other side, and he's like, it's not that bad. It's just a left boob. Jeez. Yeah. No, it was very different for him. My dad, like, not that much boob, and my brother, ah! So, yeah.
Now, is someone shushing your family at this point?
Yeah, the Vin Diesel's behind us screaming.
This is up for me.
Can someone shut the Sackhoffs up? Jesus.
So you felt like, okay, this is like a fun, sexy thing. It's not too much. I'm fine with this.
I didn't see a problem with it,
Right.
you know? I mean, people have talked about the role being sexist and it's misogynistic, and I'm like, not every character can be Starbuck and be respected by everybody around her. That's just not how it is in every walk of life. And,
Right.
you know, I'm not always going to play the character that, you know, you want to go home and be. That's just not,
Right.
you know, that's just not who I am and where I want my career to be. And I had no problems with it. I had no problems with being the sexist butt of jokes for one character, because if people didn't notice, I punched him in the face 3 times before he even opened his mouth
Right.
to say anything to me. So, you know, I think that people are taking it a bit too seriously, and it's a movie, you know?
Right.
So I didn't see anything wrong with it, to be honest.
Longmire is a very different thing than your previous gig.
Yeah.
Was that a thing that you read the script and you felt like, yes, this is something I want to take on?
It was. The script was fantastic. I met with the producers and they were great. And then, you know, I've done the thing where I was the lead of the show, and it's exhausting, and it's a lot of work, and I didn't want to do that again. I didn't want to have like a whole show on my shoulders. It's a lot of stress. And so it seemed to, all the pieces of the things that I wanted seemed to perfectly kind of fit with this show, and Robert Taylor's amazing, and it worked out perfectly, thank God.
Does it continue to be challenging enough for you from week to week? Because before, I mean, you know, on Battlestar, you're doing, as you say, a ton of stuff.
Right.
And it's big, huge, emotional stuff.
Yeah.
That was, I mean, it's a sci-fi show, but it was a heavy
Right.
show.
It was a very heavy show.
Yeah, and
Right.
things are a bit lighter for you, I dare say, on Longmire.
Longmire.
And
Yeah, there's an interesting thing that happens when you have shows that have procedural aspects and then also serialized. You know, the serialized stuff for like us is like the regulars on the show is fantastic, because that's when we have heavy drama stuff to kind of sink our teeth into. The procedural aspect of it is when, you know, the people we've had brilliant guest stars on our shows and we love them to death, but they come in and they have this amazing juicy stuff, and you know, we do sit there occasionally and go, that would have been so much fun to play.
Right.
She's married to her husband's brother and then killed him, and then now she's sleeping with his sister. It's so awesome.
Right.
Yeah, like things like that, where you're just like, that would be amazing to do, but it's just not what the show is.
Right.
So
You're the person who figures that all out.
yeah. I'm the person that stands in the back with this look on my face, like, you know, that I knew the whole time what was going on.
But it is a fun character,
Yes.
fun to watch.
Yes.
And you appeared a couple times on The Big Bang Theory as yourself.
Love The Big Bang Theory.
Do you want to do more comedy?
I want to do comedy so bad. It's talk about stereotyping. It's the one thing that I'm having a difficult time kind of like, you know, segueing into, because people are like, she's not funny, she cries really well.
Right.
So we kind of, we're having an interesting go at that. And there's some things out there, but it takes, you know, like the people from Battlestar, it takes somebody looking outside the box and seeing more than what's kind of in front of them at the moment to have the, I guess, courage or the insight to kind of say, this person could do this. Even though people think that they can do this.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it's going to take with comedy. But I love comedy, and Big Bang Theory is so much fun.
Are you going to go back?
I want to. I would love to.
Has anybody said anything about it?
I have said something about it. I don't know if Chuck has.
And you've just done it again. You have a couple other films in the works. Oculus?
Amazing. I'm so excited for people to see Oculus.
Tell me about this.
Oculus is written and directed by Mike Flanagan, who wrote a movie called Absentia, which is very good and done for, I think, like duct tape and like chewing gum money, and created something terrifying and interesting that seemed so simple, and it was amazing. I saw Absentia, read this script, and like jumped on board as fast as I could to do Oculus. I got to play a mom, which was new for me.
First time, really?
First time. Other than the documentary, 15 and Pregnant, when I was, you know,
Of course.
15.
Yeah, technically that counts.
Yeah,
yes, of
technically it
course.
counts, I guess. It was fun for me to kind of, this mirror in this movie, this mirror kind of makes you become and see the worst of yourself. And to see this emotional and physical breakdown of a character, and then to have that go so far as to try and like harm your children and kill your children is insane to me. I mean, you know, because being a mom, you know, a lot of my friends are moms. My sister, I talk to her a lot about things, and you know, you're different after you're a mom. You know, you don't live for yourself anymore. You live for this being that you created, and if you take that love out, if you take the love completely out of it, you're left with a lot of different emotions that are going around, and you know, if you're got a screw loose, you know, it can play out in a very, very disastrous way, and I was so excited to play that. You know, I thought it was interesting.
Next, you're doing Somnia with the same creative team.
Yes.
Okay, which must be nice, because outside of television, you don't often get the chance to work with the same people that quickly.
Yeah, it all kind of seamlessly happened. You know, I worked with Mike and realized halfway through that he's such an amazing, brilliant director. I mean, I knew he was an amazing writer, but then to have him be such an amazing director on top of it, I called my manager immediately and said, whatever this guy ever does, I'm in it. Like, full time, all the time. I'll never work with anybody else. It doesn't bother me. Him. And then for the first time that I'm a lead in a movie, I think that it's kind of, you know, there's a lot of pressure and a lot of weight on your shoulders in a process like that. And to do it with people that I know and that I trust, and that, you know, and there's this kind of mutual admiration thing going on, it really does help the project. And it's so, you know, I'll let you know how well it goes. You know, I'm gonna call you in a month and be like, it was shit.
Right.
I don't know I have no idea what happened. I was so wrong. No, not at all.
Is it a sort of leap of faith of, I trust this guy, I trust these people, and if they're thinking that I can do this, because a lot of times, that's what it takes, you know, is that creative people have big ideas about, you know, I want to do this, want to do that, but when it comes time to do it, sometimes it can be really scary, and it's the be careful what you wish for kind of thing. But sometimes you just have to say, well, these people seem to think that I can do it, so maybe I should take them at their word.
Yeah, and I've surrounded myself with a good team that's kind of been there since I was 16, 17 years old. And so as much smoke that gets blown up your tuchus on a daily basis, I was gonna say they'll suck it out, which seems really, I mean, you understand.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're the filter.
Yeah, they're the filter for the smoke going up the tuchus. And so they'll let me know. Yeah, it's only slightly better. It's fine. And so they'll really tell me if they think that I can do this or if not. You know, I don't think that they would ever put me in a situation where I was kind of above my head.
And does that include not just business associates, but friends, family?
For sure. I mean, I have friends in the business and then friends out of the business, and it really gives me a good group of people to kind of like question. You know, I'm one of those poll everybody around me people and then still make my own decision, but at least I know what they think about my decision going in, so I know if they're gonna hate me or not. Yeah, it really does help to have a family that reminds me that, you know, my shit does stink on a daily basis. Which is really interesting. It's a kind of inappropriate thing to remind someone.
Do you need to be reminded of that every day?
Every day. No. I think if you're lucky, you can remind yourself of that.
One would hope.
Right.
But I would say outsiders weekly should be sufficient.
Probably sufficient.
Yes.
Probably once a week.
And email. We don't need this to be a conversation.
No. Text. Fine.
How about that?
Yes.
Yeah.
A BM.
All right. I'll allow it.
It might be called a BBM. I don't know what it's called.
I believe it is called BBM. And you know what? They really stuck to their guns on that one. And they did TV ads where they said, no, we're going to not be embarrassed to say this.
Didn't they just lay off like 40% of their company?
Yes, they did. That's right.
Yeah.
Look, I knew we would get to this point.
I sadly always get to this point. Right. It's just I pull people down with me.
We talked about phones. Look at my toys.
It's not, yeah.
Look, this is the life you've chosen.
It is the life I've chosen.
What are you going to do?
Yes.
Katee Sackhoff, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you.
Best of luck in your future endeavors.
Thank you.
Stay as sweet as you are. Have a great summer. And KIT.
Thank you. KIT.
Keep in touch.
KIT, keep in touch. I like it.
Of course you do.
BBM me.
Well, that does it for this edition of Speakeasy. Please join us again on the next Speakeasy when my guest will be a different person.
It almost came out my nose. It really did.
It's tough with soda because that is...
It would burn a little bit.
Burn. Yeah.
I wonder if that's like the saline wash though. And I have on leather, so it would have just gone right down.
Tell me you don't do neti pots. Please don't do that. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe and check back every Monday to see who I interview next. And for more info about Speakeasy, visit mademan.com.